Okay, this is part three, hour three of, or hour three of our breakdown. So first two, we got the lottery. Now we're just going to be talking about guys that we like that are going to go outside the lottery, and then the mega fits. So guys that just like you throw them on that team, and it is perfect. So Dan, who do you like? Tell me who you like.
My first guy. This is my guy. I have at 16. I have Leandro Bolmaro. I've seen him as low as like not on draft. I don't think NBA draft. And then no, they have him. I've seen him on. I've seen a draft board that doesn't even have him on it. Leandro Bolmaro is a positionless creator from Argentina. He has been compared to Manu Ginobili, and I don't hate that comparison. His IQ is insane. He's like a guy like Theo Maledon or Avdia who's just always these European, but we gotta just send some of our guys. Send Cade Cunningham to Europe if you can't play for Oklahoma State, please. He'll actually learn something. Anyways, we don't want another Anthony Edwards situation. We want him to go to Europe and learn how to run a pick and roll. Anyways, Leandro Bolmaro is I'm gonna read out his measurables. He is sort of a guard wing kind of hybrid. He is 6'7" with a 6'9" wingspan. He weighs 185 pounds.
I will say he looks a lot smaller than 6'7" in the tape. I thought.
I think he looks like he's 6'7". His comp for me, his best case scenario comp, he reminds me a lot of Lonzo. He's not as fast as Lonzo is, but he's sort of that really big combo guard. His IQ is insane. He's always making the right pass. He can run pick and roll so well, and he's a hyperactive, like psycho-infected defender who's always just running around like doing this. He's so active. He's constantly stealing passes, going the other way, finding open guys in transition, finding trailers. He just does everything well. I think a more realistic comp for a guy who's probably not going to go in the lottery in a weird draft is more like a Caruso, who just like he can totally help a playoff team right now, or maybe not right now. I think he's more of a draft and stash candidate because he really hasn't played. He plays for FC Barcelona's B team, so he really hasn't played that much high level basketball.
JV gyms.
That's fine. He's not even 20 yet though. He's still pretty young. He reminds me a little bit of Satoransky too, just like a bigger guard who can kind of play on the wing and just is not going to come in and hurt you. I really think in like a year or two, he could be like a Caruso type who like plays 16 minutes a game for a playoff team and like really just, as I said with Maledon, guys like that find their way to playoff teams just because playoff teams need them and bad teams, unless they're trying to bring in the culture guys like Satoransky in Chicago, they just find their way to playoff teams. Playoff teams need them. I really like Bolmaro a lot, and I think he's going to be really good. He also is not a great run and jump athlete. He's not like a highlight reel athlete, but he's got, I say this in the rep, he's got functional athleticism. He's got good stop-start. He's pretty quick laterally, and just like, he's just, I don't know. I just think he's going to be really good. I think he can do a lot of good things on the court.
I thought the athleticism was like really left something to be desired, and I was making a point to pick this out. He can't jump. Like, he can't get off the ground.
Not a jump. He had that one dunk where he like sort of bricks it on the side of the
rim graze does a 6'7" forward.
It wasn't a rim graze. It just sort of, he was too forceful.
I did like, there were just like some finishing around the rim where it didn't seem like that would really translate to the NBA level. Why do you have him outside the lottery? Because like the way you talk about him makes me think that like he's like a top 10 pick.
Because he's playing on Barcelona's B team.
Oh, okay. Yeah, good point.
I think that his ceiling is the Lonzo comp is like if God reaches his hand down and says your basketball career will be perfect, then he could turn into Lonzo, and even probably not even because he's not as strong as Lonzo, he's not as fast. But like the guys in the lottery all have skills that they can bring into the NBA right now. Bolmaro is like all projection, but I think if everything goes well, he can become a really valuable player.
Yeah, I have him at 23, so not too far.
All right, off to you. Who do you like?
My guy I love is Paul Reed. So advanced defensive stats are pretty flawed, as it's kind of hard to pull out the individual stat versus the team stat. But in the Big East, so Paul Reed's power forward, 6'9", long, lanky, good athlete. His advanced defensive metrics have him the best in the Big Ten in every significant category. So defensive box score, defensive win shares. He led the Big East in blocks and was second in the Big East in steals. There are some possessions where he just absolutely smothers defenders on the perimeter, never mind the interior. In terms of a shot blocker, he was a smart shot blocker. He's not just sending it 10 rows into the crowd. He's got he understands directional shot blocking, which like in college almost doesn't exist at all, never mind in the NBA. He might be he could be. I know Okoro, I said, might be the best defender. I think it's between him and Paul Reed who can be the best defender. He can guard every position. He can switch. If he gets a little bigger, I think he can guard traditional bigs as well. What he can do on the defensive end is unbelievable, and the stats really back it up. I think, like, in terms of guys that have the most steals and most blocks in a major college conference, that's got to be really unique. On the offensive end, I'm really concerned with why he didn't run the pick and roll at DePaul, because he's a good athlete, as shown by his blocks per game. On the defensive end, it shows he's a good athlete. He can leap, but he didn't really run the pick and roll. I don't know whether that's because he's not thick enough, whether he doesn't have good pick and roll technique. He seems to project as a rim runner, but he didn't run towards the rim at DePaul, which is concerning. And hopefully he grows into that rim runner role, because he doesn't really have a face-up game, and he definitely can't shoot. But I think that if he just transitions into a rim running role, he could become like one of the best defenders in the league. It's unbelievable what he can do on that end.
I think the comp, like as we've talked about, as you said, it's kind of like Jaren Jackson's defense, basically, is like his comp.
Yeah, it's awesome what he can do. Like, his defensive tape is some of the most fun to watch, and defensive tape is generally not like the most fun part of the process. But he knows what he's doing on the defensive end, and it's really impressive. I think he's another guy that's going to rise. He started outside the lottery, and he's starting to work his way up into the 20s.
Yeah, guys like that. Also, it's like, if you're defending really, like, guys who don't really care about basketball, whatever, like your classic, like, oh, he doesn't want to work. Like, guys like that aren't elite defenders because defense isn't fun. So it's like, guys like that are at least going to try and become better offensive players. And some of them just don't have the skill set to do it. But if you look at a guy like Serge Ibaka or something who came in as just like a pure defensive guy, really developed like a total offensive game and is now more of an offensive player like later in his career. I'm not saying Paul Reed can do that, but it's like he's at least going to try to develop his offense.
There's also there's a little Pascal Siakam there as well. Just like in terms of his build as a body, I think it's very similar. Athleticism is similar. Projecting that level of growth is completely unreasonable. It came out of nowhere with Siakam. So I think offensively, he's
all NBA guys. Sorry, I cut you off. No, finish up.
No, that was it. Offensively limited, defensive. I think his ceiling is almost unlimited.
Note to everyone discussing NBA draft prospects: Pascal Siakam is the new Kawhi Leonard. For every Pascal Siakam, there are 20 not Pascal Siakams. Not every really long guy who plays the floor who can kind of dribble will become Pascal Siakam. I think it's important that is said. Most of them will not become Pascal Siakam.
Projecting that level of growth is completely unreasonable.
It's like the Jimmy Butler thing. It just doesn't happen. You just have to kind of hope it does.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got two more guys I want to talk about. I'll go real fast. The first one, I think you like him too. I really like Vernon Carey. Really just absolute bear in the pretty wild. He's like 6'9.5". So he's a little undersized. He's like a smaller center, but he's can kind of shoot 67% free throw shooter, which isn't great, but for a college big, it's not bad. He has like a bit of a mid-range game. If you watch him in workouts, he can knock down that shot. Like, he's going to turn into a guy that can hit an open mid-range jump shot. I don't know if he will ever shoot threes, but he's a really good low post player beyond just being an absolute beast, which he is. He's really smart. He's like the best at sealing off and getting position in the post in this draft. It's pretty specific praise, but he is the best at establishing position in the draft. He can use his brute strength. He's also smart. He uses misdirections. He can spin well. He's got good touch with both hands. Just really, and the assist numbers aren't good. I think he only averaged like 1 assist a game, but if you watch the tape, he has the assists you want to see out of your centers. He finds cutters off screens. He finds baseline penetrators. Like, he knows how to run 5-man half-court offense, and which is like essential from centers today. So he's a smart guy that's gonna a smart player that's gonna continue to build on his weaknesses, I think. And my comp was like a shorter Steven Adams, but I think he's a little more skilled. But I mean, he's not as big as Steven Adams. And I compared him to Tice a little bit too. I think he's a guy who can be like a glue guy and just really valuable for a lot of different like sort of lineup versatility for a good team. So yeah, I like Vernon Carey, and I've got one more guy, but I can turn over to you if you want to add.
Yeah, and I think 20. And I think what limits Vernon Carey is just I think the athleticism is really subpar. Not much of a leaper. He's not going to be a rim runner. I think that I really like the Tice comp. I think the Tice comp. I think if he gets really good at the pick and roll and as you were saying, the seal off in the post. That's a super valuable role, and that's what Tice has made his living on this year is just pick and rolls with Kemba and then he seals off in the post that opens up shots. And like,
You love seals, yeah.
I fucking love my seals. If I a seals compilation of Tice's best seals of the 2019 season. Oh, inject it. Yeah, and that's what Vernon Carey can do because he's so big, he's so strong. He can seal off anyone in the league.
Yeah.
So,
his body's kind of like Zion's. The only difference is he doesn't have a 75-inch vertical like Zion does.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Next guy I really like is Grant Riller. He is 23 years old. No, not great. And he's 4-year guard out of College of Charleston. Also not great. But what he was able to do from a shot creation perspective, I think is really unique in this draft. His handle and his ability to get a shot for himself, I didn't really see anyone else in this draft do. And this is all with the asterisk that he was facing inferior competition. But there's this, the dribble moves are there. The finishes are there. He's able to do a lot. The reverse is really clean. He's got a nice step back three. He takes a few too many long twos. But that's just shot selection that I think can be. That should be pretty easily coached out of a player. That's just telling them not to take a shot. The shot creation is just special, and his handle is special. And obviously, it's hard to see, what does that player do when he's playing against the big boys. But I was looking at some of the game logs against Power 5 teams. So he had a really good 28 point performance against Providence, which is a Big East team. He played well against
UCF too, right?
Say it again.
VCU, I think he had a really good game against too.
Yeah, ECU, and then he had a really good game against UCF. So he had good games, and he had some clunkers against Power 5 schools. But the shot, I really, there's not any other tape in this draft where I saw someone be able to create a shot in in almost like a Kyrie Irving type way, in terms of like nice acrobatic finishes, and then just on the perimeter, just really nice step back, sidestep moves that open
really
quick. And a good shooter. He's a very good shooter on high volume. His splits were good. He's an 83% free throw shooter, 38% 3-point shooter on like 6 attempts a game. I think he probably comes in as a floor spacer, but I think there's a world where he becomes a good, microwave scorer off the bench, but who knows whether he can play against top competition.
I mean, that's kind of the risk you're taking with the bottom of the first round of a draft like this. If you're not sure if they can become contributors, but you hope they are. Also, I mean, I'm going to mention this with my next guy too, sort of the line in the sand when you're picking near the bottom of the first round is you try and think, can I see them being an impact player in a playoff series? And with Riller, I totally can. With all the guys you mentioned, I can. As can the next guy I love, who's Cassius Winston. Anyone who watches college basketball knows all about Cassius Winston, but for anyone who's not familiar, point guard for Michigan State, 3-year starter, 4-year senior captain, just total Spartan legend from my home state. And really just a winner at the college level, has played in so many big games. But I mean, he's really undersized. He is, let me pull up the measurements. I think he's 6'1".
185, if I remember.
6'1", 185. Yep, that's right. 6'4" wingspan. He's already 22. Same age as Obi Toppin. But offensively, beyond just all the cliches, knows the game, whatever experience, yada da. He looks like a Lowry clone. He looks exactly like Kyle Lowry on offense. He's always changing speeds. That's the thing. He really never takes one 2 or 3 dribbles in a row going the same speed or moving the same direction. He's constantly weaving in and out, stop, start, using his body, finishing around the rim. Just a really, really smart offensive player who knows it goes beyond playing through his limitations. It's using his physical profile to his advantage and making it an advantage, basically. So it's he's not fast I forget the other point guards, but he doesn't have the speed of a RJ Hampton, obviously, or anything like that. He's really just no part of his athletic profile stands out, but he's just really smart. He's pretty strong, really knows how to use his body, stop start quickness. He's a really good shooter too, and especially on high volume. He hang on, let me pull that up. His splits were 45, 43, 85. So really remarkable splits for a guy who was the lead offensive player the last 2 seasons. Yeah, and just again, so much big game experience. Everyone in the come from Michigan State loves him. Just classic high character college point guard. And I really don't think it's unrealistic. Like Fred VanVleet is a pretty obvious comp. You think about guys who played 4 years in college, worked their way up through the league, and became impact players. I don't think this 2020 version of Fred VanVleet, where he's averaging like 18 a game, is really realistic. I think it's possible, but I think like 2017, 2018, 2019 kind of Fred VanVleet, a guy who's playing, 17. He's like a fourth guard on a really good team. He could totally play, the kind of guy you could see having like 16 points in like a game 4 or something like that. Just like I could totally see Cassius Winston playing for a playoff team, playing 15, 17 minutes, something like that. I just think he's really good, and I don't think he's going to fail just because he's so smart and like works so hard and just really knows how to play. So, yeah, big Cassius Winston fan.
Ceiling is limited, though. I mean, like a lot of guys,
Yeah.
it's just
his ceiling. Also, like the one concern is that his game is predicated on him dribbling a ton. So it's like it's hard to see how he can be impactful off ball. So I really don't. There's no world in which he becomes a starter. I don't think so. You're betting on him like leading a second unit. But yeah,
right. Yeah, absolutely. My final guy, I don't know if I like him, but I'm really intrigued by him, is Jaden McDaniels.
Love the intriguing guys. Yeah.
So the tape jumps off. He's 6'9", lanky. He's got the KD build. He takes 3-pointers, doesn't necessarily make them at a particularly good rate, but he takes them. He can finish around the rim. He was a top recruit. I think he was maybe 5th overall coming into this class. Played at Washington, bad team with another top prospect, Isaiah Stewart. He averaged 14 points per game. On the defensive side, he had some like just absolute glass-eating blocks, just really, really cruel to humanity blocks, which that's a really hard. That's like not necessarily like a good trait to have. Like Hassan Whiteside has some like glass-eating blocks. He's not necessarily a good NBA player. But defensive versatility.
It would be an NBA pod if we weren't just making fun of Hassan Whiteside. That's what everyone does.
Yeah, I mean, like he's good. Yeah, no, okay, yeah, but yeah. So Jamie, the defensive versatility is there. Offensively, he like everything looks good in the highlight tapes, and then like you watch him play the actual game, and it turns out he's not that good at basketball, which is the objective of playing basketball. But I think in terms of tools, he has everything that a good NBA player has. He can shoot, he can create, he can play defense. He's tall, lanky, long. Like everything looks great in theory. And sometimes once you get to a certain point in the draft, you got to draft the in theory guys and just hope that you can coach something into them. And I think after 15, I don't think there's a better in theory guy than Jaden McDaniels.
Sure.
And I think a team has to be smart if they're going to draft them. They have to be someone that feels like they're not one piece away, because I think there are a lot of one piece away guys, not one piece away, but there are a lot of like 0.5 pieces away guys later in this draft. So you have to feel like you don't need that guy to draft him, and have a good situation around him where you're not going to allow him to take the bad shots he was taking at Washington. After he ran on the offensive end. But just in theory, guys, like don't take him too high, but you got to take him at some point, and you just
imagine if he's there for like the Nuggets or something.
Oh yeah, you just start throwing in like just these super like MPJ, like in terms of body, he's like the exact same thing as MPJ. And like why not take a stab? Like there's no, especially in this draft. Like I think he probably ends up not playing in the NBA for more than like 4 years. But I think there's like the 1 in 10 shot he becomes starter, fringe all-star. And at this point you just got to roll the dice and take it. And I don't think there's really anyone else that I would say might become a fringe all-star after the lottery. So.
Sure.
Okay. Is there anyone you dislike? Anyone that you're just like, why is this person so high on so many boards?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to go into, we went into some of them earlier. I don't want to spend too much time just bashing dudes. I'm not a Cole Anthony guy at all. I I don't really see what separates Cole Anthony from like Devin Dotson. I mean, like I think he's like a slightly better version. He's more athletic. He's younger. He's slightly better shooter, but like he plays really below the rim, and he's just all he does is score. And I think there are so many guys in this draft way later, and then just also always available around the league that can do what he does. So like the idea of him going like ninth, I think is absurd. Like I would not take him that high.
Yep.
I have him at 19. And I just think like I don't know, if Cole Anthony was my first round pick, I wouldn't mind to see him go to a team like what do you think? Like Brooklyn or something, just like a team that needs maybe more scoring off the bench and is a playoff team. Like I could see that, but like
Well,
I don't think
I hate that fit. Like you're putting another ball dominant guard into that team.
Kyrie can teach him how to just pass to no one.
Here we go. Starting lineup. Kyrie needs ball in his hand. Cole Anthony needs ball in his hand. Karis LeVert needs ball in his hand. Spencer Dinwiddie needs ball in his hand. And KD needs ball in his hand.
You're speaking about music, and they all hate each other. No, I don't think Cole Anthony is a starting point guard, though. So, like, I don't think he starts in the NBA. But anyways, yeah, there's that. I don't love Oturu. I've seen him. NBA Draft Net has him at 10, which I think is nuts.
They're the only ones that I see him that high.
Yeah, he's got good stats, but he's super inactive. Yeah, I'm not a huge believer, but I think if he's available near the bottom of the first round, he's got talent and he put up good numbers. So in the Big Ten, so you could talk me into that. And I know we share some feelings on Alexei Poyevsky.
You start. Just
okay. Well, I mean, Alexei Poyevsky. If you speak to some people, he might be the next Dirk. He might be a smoother, more agile Porzingis. I think he weighs like less than a microwave. It's a weird comparison, but he's listed at 7 feet 200. He really looks like 7 feet 175. Like, but it's beyond the weight. The frame is like his shoulders are like that, and just like he kind of looks just like his whole game. He looks kind of extraterrestrial, but that's kind of what he gets. There is like a 1 in 50 chance he becomes a superstar because he really moves like a wing and passes like a guard. He's 7 feet, but there's also a chance he never plays in an NBA game. So I don't know if he falls to like I could see like if he falls to the second round, maybe a bad team just takes a shot at him and incubates him in Serbia for a couple years, but who knows?
You should look at his tape. It looks like he's playing rec league, like the empty gyms. He's playing against like these other like scrawny teenagers that can't really play basketball. There was this one play where he gets the ball on the wing. He goes for a spin move into a turnaround fadeaway and like legitimately throws the ball because he doesn't have enough strength to just take a regular shot, and he misses the rim by like this much, like to the right side and short, and it like the shot clock wasn't expiring. Like it was.
Do they have a shot clock in the league he's playing?
I think it was somewhere in the background. It was a developed play. Like he was making
the ref is like a stopwatch. He's like, "Hey, you gotta
go take it." He's just. There's no one else in this draft that you look and it's like, oh, he like straight up like are moments where he just doesn't know how to play basketball. And like if you saw him on your high school team, wouldn't be that thrown off by it.
You wouldn't be that thrown off by a guy who's 7 feet tall playing high school basketball.
Having a legit alien on your high school basketball team. Okay, but like in terms of skill wise, it's just like there's some moments where it's like, yeah, no, he's super young and just needs to play in Europe for another like 3 years. And then,
I mean,
yeah,
he could turn into something cool. It's possible.
Yeah, it'd be sick if he, like, for more power to whatever team. But he is the definition of 2 years away from being 2 years away.
Yes, he is. He is this generation's Bruno.
And then my guy that I don't particularly like that I see is creeping up boards into the high 20s or low 20s is Zeke Naji out of Arizona. The comp for him is 2 megabytes per second, Marvin Bagley, because he can run the floor. And he can occasionally hit a mid-range jumper. It was kind of hard to find other guys that could do that, so I just went for a really shitty version of Marvin Bagley. But he can't really play basketball. And as a big, he's not a great rebounder, not a great shot blocker, not laterally quick, would get really eviscerated on the wing, and it's. I think that people are in terms of where he's ranked on a lot of boards. It's this conflation between fast, tall, and can take a shot. It's like, oh, they're in the 20s, but if there's nothing else to surround that, I think someone like that can just get really lost on the court and loses all value. And it's like, why is the height there if they don't know how to use it around the rim? So,
But
yeah.
other than that,
Yeah. Other than that, yeah. So I have him at 41, which is our second to last in this particular board.
we're gonna go over some dream fits, and then we can
Dream fits for
call
sure.
call it an evening.
Yep.
Cool. All right. I can start. I want Obi Toppin to go to the Warriors so badly. I think
I'm anti this take. FYI.
I think that would be unreal. I think it would be the perfect team to utilize his talents. It would be kind of an interesting fit because I don't really know who plays center then, because Draymond can't play center like for 35 minutes at least. Maybe he can. He can play against the Rockets.
Full year,
but
I don't think he can.
probably not. Especially as he's but I just think that team in transition would be unbelievable. He's such a transition weapon. He's so fast. He can catch shots. I've spoken about it earlier, but he's not like a great floor spacer, but I don't think he's going to cause problems for floor spacing. I think he's going to be like an average 3-point shooter, at least in time, maybe not immediately. And I just think he is such an offensive weapon to throw him into that mix with Steph and Clay and Draymond. Like, it'll literally just be like, and he has also said, I really want to go to Golden State, so more power to him.
Oh, really?
If he goes for it. Yeah, he like is like campaigning for the Warriors to draft him. He's like, I want to go to the Warriors. He's ring chasing. He's not even in the league yet. But anyways, I just think giving Steve Kerr that would literally just be like kid in a candy store. Like the ways they can use him on offense would be unbelievable. That team also is really switchable on the perimeter. Like Wiggins, I think can almost be a good defender. Maybe we've been saying that for like 5 years though. Clay, obviously coming back. Draymond is one of the better defenders in the league. They would have ways of hiding him on defense. I just think that team in transition would be unbelievable. It's like you're looking for where's Steph, where's Clay? Oh, there's Obi, and he's doing a between the legs dunk, and we didn't even know, which he did in the game. Check it out. Against George Washington.
Yeah, and my intent is that I think the spacing becomes a really big issue because suddenly you have three. We can assume that Obi next year is probably going to be a subpar 3-point shooter. I think that projecting as anything more than average is, I think, a bit of a dream. But I think that the spacing becomes the issue where you have 2 elite shooters and then 3 subpar shooters, and especially Golden State. I think that kind of changes their play style.
Maybe. I also will say though, I don't know who they would replace him with, but I don't think it should be a mandate that Wiggins starts. He hasn't earned anything like really ever. So it's like if they have someone come up, like what's up?
Who starts instead? Jordan Poole?
Oh no. I don't know who that would be. Definitely not Jordan Poole. Does McKinney still play for them?
I don't know. Can Eric
if
Pascal shoot?
Who?
Pascal, can he shoot?
Oh, I don't know. But he's not like you can't play him Toppin and Draymond. They're all the same size basically.
Lineup.
Anyways, we can move on. Yeah.
So I'm just gonna I'll do 2 dream fits here. So Celtics have 3 first-round picks. They have Grizz, which probably ends up at like 15, we'll say 16, and then they have themselves, their own, and Bucks. So I'm just going to go all 3 if we hit the lottery. Okay. So ideally, I want Patrick Williams because I think that it's just like another mega switchable power forward that could blossom into something big that I think you can get at 15. I want Kyra Lewis because the Celtics have 0 bench scoring, and I think that Kyra Lewis around 23 can really contribute something off the bench, more substantive than what they have right now of like Brad Wanamaker and Carson Edwards. Kyra Lewis can create in transition, and off the bench they have shit in transition. There's nothing there. So I think he could do some exciting stuff. And then finally, I would want Jalen Smith there. Just pick and pop, 6'10", big, can shoot, can defend the rim. Not a great athlete, but good enough. But can shoot, defend the rim. Not much more you can ask for, and they need a big. They need a versatile big. Ideally, you get someone like physically bigger that can match up against Joel Embiid, Marcus Gasol, Brook Lopez,
Mhm.
something like that. But I think Jalen Smith at late 20s can do the job. So those are my
Nice.
Celtics fits, just because.
Okay, sure. Celtics guy. Okay, I have two fits for LaMelo. These are the only ones I will accept. If he ends up anywhere but these two, other than maybe the Pistons, because I'm like kind of a Pistons guy, but not really. There are two fits for LaMelo. Fit number one is, well, as much as like my own Schadenfreude like wants to see him in Cleveland and just like see who gets out of the room last between he, Sexton, and Garland, just all three of them trying to kill each other for the ball. Or same thing in Atlanta, just like who plays defense, I don't know, but they'll figure it out maybe. I want to see him either A, in New York, just because LaMelo in the Garden, just give it to me. Like if the Knicks are going to be terrible, they might as well be fun. I really want LaMelo in New York City. I think that would be. I think that's just destiny at this point. Like LaMelo has to go to the Knicks. I don't care where they're picking. Just please make Silver pull some strings, make it happen. Send LaMelo to the Garden. And if it doesn't happen, if we get lottery madness, which I've done this tankathon sim a bunch of times and it happens occasionally, I would love to see him end up in San Antonio. I know San Antonio has like 17 point guards already. It really doesn't matter. Derek White's not that good. DeJounte's not that good. Bryn Forbes, I don't even, whatever. You can trade all of them. It really doesn't matter. Give me either LaMelo in New York fighting for his survival with Tom Thibodeau, most likely it appears, and a bunch of other guys who can't shoot, or give me LaMelo coached by Popovich, because I think if there's one coach who can turn him into a superstar, it would be Popovich. That would be unbelievable. And the Spurs right now are so boring, and the league is better when the Spurs are good. So give Popovich his pupil that he deserves. I would love to see LaMelo in San Antonio. So
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun. And that, like, in theory, that coaches out all of the negative things, the shot selection, the useless dribbles, or really like useless motion. Say it again.
If he tries like any of that, Pop just bam.
Yeah, and then it's just like I think yeah, that's good fit. I like that a lot. I think we discussed this a little earlier, but Halliburton in Phoenix I think is just absolutely perfect. They don't need a primary ball handler right now with Rubio and Booker there. They need a secondary playmaker that can space the floor, and Halliburton I think is that perfect fit. The floor spacing, it's questionable of what shots he can get off in the NBA, as we discussed with his horrible form. But who he is as just a really smart player, I think that Phoenix would really benefit from just adding smart team-based players to that.
Yeah.
And like they have the talent to potentially be something next year. I think they just need to start like rounding out this roster with like really good starters. And I think that he adds something there.
That's what they did too when they like traded back for Saric and they got Cam Johnson. Like they're just looking for players who aren't going to cause problems.
Yeah, and Halliburton.
I have one more fit.
The anti-cause problems guy.
One more fit for Halliburton would be Atlanta. I would love to see him in the backcourt next to Trae Young. Maybe play defense. Someone there's got to play defense. Maybe Halliburton could be the one to do it. Halliburton again doesn't need the ball in his hands. He could take some playmaking duties from Trae Young. Trae Young could start running around a little bit more because Halliburton could be able to find him. No one else on that team could pass, like at all. They don't have no one on that team could do anything. But I think Halliburton would be a really good fit. I also like Abdia to Atlanta. But let me take this time to really briefly speak about Cam Reddish, the most disrespected player in the NBA. Cam Reddish, do not let the splits fool you. And the splits are really bad. The splits are some of the worst ever. Would you like me to read them?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Hang on, I've already got a
justification for the splits all the funnier.
Cam Reddish's splits are 38, 33, 80, though. So 38% from the field, 33 from three. Okay. Cam Reddish is really good. Don't let the terrible numbers fool you. He is the compensation they got for trading out of the Luka pick, so that's not great, but they probably would rather have Luka. But Cam Reddish is pretty good. He's a big shooter. Like, he's really big. I mean, people know who Cam Reddish is. His gathers, I'm telling you, I can talk all night about his gathers. He really reminds me of Paul George. The way he goes from dribbling to bringing the ball to the rim is really an art. He knows where to put the basketball, which is not like a lot of guys have the ball slapped away. They're kind of throwing around. Cam Reddish is so efficient in his movements. He knows how to get the ball to the rim. He's going to be pretty good. I think he's going to be in the league for a long time. And people are ready to write off Cam Reddish, but I will buy all the Cam Reddish stock anyone is selling. And that is all I have to say.
Yeah, I think that's a good note to end it on. So I will. I quickly calculated. I'll just read our lottery big board. The entire big board is in the write-up, which I imagine anyone watching this would have already gone through. But our final big board is at 1, Killian Hayes; 2, Obi Toppin; 3, LaMelo Ball; 4, Tyrese Halliburton; 5, Anthony Edwards; 6, Denny Avdia; 7, Onyeka Okongwu; at 8, we have James Wiseman. At At 8, we have Devin Vassell. At 9, we have James Wiseman. At 10, we have Isaac Okoro. At wait, we're at 11, right?
Mhm.
All right, yeah. At 11, we have RJ Hampton. At 12, we have Aaron Nesmith. At 13, we have shit, this is fucking confusing. At 13, we have Kyra Lewis, and at 14, we have Patrick Williams, I think. No. Shit. This is a bad ending to this. Wait, no, Teo Maladon is at Jesus. Okay. I fucked up on the numbers. The final big board is in the write-up. So I think
There
we
you go.
lost everyone that is in the lottery. So if anyone has made it to this point, thanks for
We thank you dearly.
yeah, that's
All the
really
ball
impressive.
that you could ever need during quarantine, we've given you. So
Yeah.
if anyone is watching and has watched the whole thing, we thank you very much for spending this evening with us discussing draft prospects. Go watch some Cam Reddish tape. You might be surprised at what you find.